real quick. If anybody wants 50th anniversary tickets for this Friday. we'll be
Okay.
here.
It's the entrance to which thing on Friday?
The concert.
Pavilion.
Concert.
Wow, love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carl.
Oh, my wife is begging for that.
I love that.
I'd like to.
I'm gonna go to the fireworks after that.
I got a question. We got some that were,
The 19th.
I got tickets and parking from them. My question is those are assigned seats, right?
These are, as I understand, they're covered, but general admission.
I'm happy with that.
So,
Friday.
but I mean, they show specific seats, but as I understand, it's
It's-
that's-
yeah.
yeah, so, but it's the covered seats.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
Okay, the meeting come to order.
I've got one.
Mr. President, what time do you have? My watch is.
6:09.
6:10.
Okay. 6:09.
Okay, receive comments from the public. Doesn't look like we got any public. We've got a public here that handed out some tickets. I've got plenty.
Only 4 more tickets.
Okay, consider an act on a request for adjustments. Okay. Consent agenda items 4 through 8. I've got one change on the minutes
Yeah, okay, let's see if it's the same one.
unanimously.
Yes. Yeah, you asked me with 2 dissenting.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it.
What's going on?
Anyway, on the very bottom. Unanimously.
Right.
Just eliminate.
Yeah.
The bottom of page 2, just eliminate
Okay.
unanimously and the salt.
Unanimously 3-2.
3 is.
Okay, perfect.
That was the only error I found as well.
Yeah. Does anybody,
Thought I had is, Ed, I thought you left before our meeting. I didn't think you were there.
Last month?
Last month, the 36. I thought you were gone.
I could not, well,
And Mr. Meeks gave a report and I just didn't remember you being here.
it's highly possible I wasn't, but let me
Okay.
check.
okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion, so motion, second.
All those in favor? Aye. Consent agenda is approved. Okay, we'll go to the regular agenda, item 9. Receive the regular monthly SGRA Woodlands Division report, including updates on operations, projects, and public outreach.
So I just have one item to quickly cover, and I know Kent, you may want to cover this in some of your conversation, but this one pager that Kent was handing out related to the wastewater plant 1 winning the awards back in 2023. We have won these awards before. When I started in 2010, we started applying. And every 2 to 3 years, we do win an award for wastewater plant 1, right? Actually, every year we do win one, but they're always based on compliance. So
Just compliance.
it's compliance on half of them, and then half the awards we win. The other part is, if you'll read the last sentence here, it's not based on the condition of the facility. It's based on the compliance of the facility as well as the staff and how they operate the facility. So we've never denied that the plant's always in compliance and staff does a dang good job in everything they do. But we're looking at the plant from a condition based. And so at some point, the condition could fail. That could cause compliance issues. But just to bring that up and just to say that these awards are based not off of the condition of the facility, but the operations.
Just operation.
Right.
I understand.
Is TCEQ involved in this at all?
They are, well, on the offside of it, they don't issue the award. This is through an association, but obviously TCQ,
They look at the standards.
they look at the standards, they set the standards, they look at the reports, they declare you in compliance and everything else.
But you would say if it was in poor condition, it would be difficult to win this award.
It would make it harder.
We just have very excellent operators and maintenance
I agree.
personnel.
Reason this came up, Sharon and I attended a function and the River Authority has a cardstock handout that's basically a PR piece, which is got no problem with that, but I didn't know anything about this award, and I was sitting there looking at this, and on this sheet here, they've got wastewater treatment plant, SGR Woodlands Division's wastewater treatment plants 1 and 3, one wastewater treatment plant of the year at Texas Water 2023.
Wow.
So, which is essentially summarize or in detail what I just handed you, but that's what Chris is talking about. I think most of the other three people hadn't heard about this, but so that's what prompted me to dig that up off of the internet. And anyway, I got some comment other.
By the way, it is running at under capacity. Plant
Oh, yeah.
one is running under capacity.
So the operations, the rolling average is under capacity. Sold capacity is that capacity. Capacity-wise is at the limit.
Really?
Okay. Now, the plan is rated for 7.8 because the 75/90.
Have to have this percentage for TCEQ
Right.
regulations.
You got it. So there's some waivers you can apply for and stuff like that, but right now we are sitting right at compliance, or right at
Capacity.
Sold capacity.
Sold capacity.
sold capacity, not utilized.
Utilized capacity is what, about 50%?
Utilized capacity is,
45%.
I've been 45, 50%. It's about 3.2.
Right.
The drier it gets, the lower it gets because less iodine.
I might comment on this sold capacity. That sold capacity was based on wastewater SFDUs of 217, I think.
317 and 2027.
Right. But if you go out there and you take the SFDUs today, which is 3.2, and you divide it, which is a real good measure, you've got SFDUs that are flowing into this plant and purchased, they end up in, what is it, 170 or less.
Right.
So, and that gets back what we were discussing is that the whole SFDU calculation that they used 20 years ago is completely over, it's oversized. So that now if you went out and build a plant, I don't know what, do they still require you to use on a new plant 217?
It used to be over 300 years
Yeah.
ago, in my career, but now, so I think the F and I report, they were utilizing 200, I believe.
Right, and so that's what I was going to say is now looking at it, going back to some of that, it has reduced from, it will at some point reduce from 217 to 200 gallons per day per SFDE. But keep in mind, when you look at today's capacity, you have to also look at what's constructed, what's utilized, right? So you have a hotel that may have 100 SFDEs, but it's 25% occupied. But you have to maintain the capacity for the entire hotel. So they took that into consideration. But all that to be said, entirely agree. As we said today, the plant is oversized by 800,000 gallons. That's why we're recommending it to drop to. Yeah.
But anyway, that's, I've had this discussion about remodeling my bathrooms in my house, and you try to buy a shower head that will get you wet, you're lucky. Because we got all these low flow toilets, we got low flow shower heads, we got low flow fixtures, and it obviously makes a big difference when you start multiplying that by a few thousand.
Unless you got a drill bit.
Unfortunately, it makes the strength of the waste coming in strong with.
Oh, yeah,
which is
true.
Problematic for
True,
the
true.
plant
It's
designers.
not diluted nearly as much, huh?
Exactly.
Didn't think of that.
And just a quick reminder, that entire conversation, to the plant, the SFDE re-evaluated by Corello right now. So even though Freeze and Nichols looked at it and said, is this, everything is still up in the air, and Corello is re-looking at it for their report. So
But I've maintained, like, the last 2 or 3 weeks, I assume was, you said 3.2, and I haven't looked at it, but it's probably almost straight line at 3 point.
plant one was 3.033
For plant one.
for plant one. Peak flow is 4.83, which is nothing. So.
But
Next
the
to
point is if you want to figure out the true SFDU for the Woodlands, you can take the flow into the plant and take the total SFDUs in purchased. And you can get the true SFDUs, because it's dry weather. We don't have any inflow from storms or anything.
Not today.
But I mean,
Ain't
there's,
not wet
the
water.
caveat is if you do that, you have to account for wet weather. So then you have to put the peaking factor on top of that.
No, I understand.
It's long
I'm trying to fix-
conversation from here.
I'm talking about the dry weather SFDU.
Dry weather?
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the best ways.
Has that plant ever been out of compliance?
Plant one has been like an old diesel engine. It has never been out of compliance. Now you have E. coli issues here and stuff.
BOD, COD, POC, that kind of stuff.
I cannot think of, you have some burps on ammonia every now and then. We haven't had that in quite a while.
Wintertime burps.
Yeah, wintertime bursts and stuff. Plant one's been it's Cadillac. It's been running for a while pretty good, well, almost 50 years. Plant two is the one that we have had loads of issues with, loads of violations.
Reason?
UV system.
Oh, that's it. I'll do it.
Plant one's pretty good. That's all we have.
Any other questions of Chris or Ed?
That's the
Okay.
end of your report, Mr. Meeks.
That is, unless you have any questions, Mel.
Okay. Thank you. See the attorney's report.
No general items under the attorney's report. I do need to cover the investment policy with the board. If you don't have any general questions for me.
Is that a closed session item?
No, that's the next item.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
The only question I had, and it may be very primitive, but we had that money transferred to us, the over 300,000. It looked to me like it was put in tax pool. I could be wrong if that was the transfer. I was looking at the transfers. Is that because we're getting the best rate from that investment?
That's a Maureen question. I'm assuming that's why you're always looking for the best.
It looked like the transfer was, and I looked at all the interest on the other ones. It looked like tax pool was in the best category. Is that something that we
It has been
expect
for a long
longer
time,
term?
and now it's Texas class, so now I've switched to put money into. It happened later in the quarter.
Okay.
Can I do a Maureen question? On the balance sheet, it says amount to be provided for LTD. What the heck is that? That's in the asset column.
Yeah, that's a audit entry, year end, long-term debt. It reconciles the MTRA that we pay is grading.
So you put it in the asset and then you take it out of the liability.
No, it's it's just an entry we do at year end to take the amount that was paid to the River Authority monthly, we book it into that category.
So once a year.
Just at the end of the year.
Okay.
Mr. Perez, what page are you on?
Oh, I'm not on.
Not that I'm the accounting expert, but I do highlight my sheets.
It's the balance sheet page. I don't know what it is. I took the liberty of asking my favorite banker, if with this P and L and balance sheet, would you borrow any money? I have an answer. If anybody wants it, I'll send it to them. And take up court's time right now.
My knowledge, we're not looking to borrow any money, so
Nope.
go ahead.
All right, so next item, the investment policy. So for current events, being new, we have an investment policy. It's included in your policy manual that got when it came on the board. That policy manual incorporates the requirements of the Public Funds Investment Act, what kind of investments we can do. If we're very conservative, preservation of yield is the first goal, preservation of capital. Yeah, and your last goal is to have return. So you've got a requirement under the Public Funds Investment Act that the policy be reviewed on an annual basis. All districts have that. our firm reviews our policies for our district clients each year and makes recommendations as to whether there need to be any changes or not. Usually, if there's not a legislative session where the legislature could be making changes to the act that has to be incorporated into the policy, we don't have changes. Sometimes we'll have something small, stylistic or what have you. We had changes last year. This year, we do not. So we prepared the resolution that's in your packet on page 43 to reflect that we conducted the annual review of the policy and no changes are necessary at this time. And we do need a motion on that resolution.
Okay. That was.
I've never
signed.
read
That was Signature that
That
we
was that
get.
one page.
Okay, we got it.
A motion to approve then.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the investment policy?
Motion
Second.
and second.
All those in favor?
Yep.
Aye. Opposed? No. Okay. Anything else, Brian?
That's all I got. Thanks.
While I got you, Brian, I discussed this at the trustees meeting, but I want to, Brian might be able to help me a little more is, as you know, I brought up the fact that we still had people or did have a person with a director's lot, which is essentially people that don't live in our district or a district are able to, they don't tell you this, but go to the development company, used to be Woodlands Development or Howard Hughes, and they would be happy to give you a piece of a 2/10 or 2/100 of an acre in a piece of a ditch, and you could have property in that mud. And that's been a policy that's been at least while I was, and I think since the day one, because
Oh,
originally when
Way
you're,
back,
when
way
you
back.
have a few residents, obviously you got to have
Right,
some way
you have
that
to do
you got to
that.
get 5 people.
Set
But
up
anyway,
the-
what concerns me is most of them were all built out, and why we still had directors lots. In fact, we had a president of the trustees board for many years that was had a director's lot. She was a resident, moved around, and main concern.
A report, but wasn't it, they admitted that there is no serving director that has a mud lot at this time.
That's correct. But the person that was on this board, probably, I don't know whether you know it or not, ended up in 6 months before she left the board, moved out of the district and had a director's lot.
That was Jan.
So anyway, that's concerned me a whole lot.
Mhm.
And the question is, the reason that concerns me is who do your loyalties lie? Does your loyalty lie to the people that gave you the lot, or do they? And because there are some real questions sometimes about reimbursements to the developer. Anyway, I think that's been clear, but it's my understanding, and you could go out. I gave an example. I could go over there and buy a lot right across on Oak Ridge Drive over here, and I could sell directors' lots. If 3 directors got together and wanted to annex a lot, you think this is funny, but I don't
I
want.
didn't think it was
Did it-
funny because when I first started running, there was a woman from Beaumont who was serving on one of our muds, and I wasn't happy about that at all. So
Well,
I understand. your
we had-
concern.
Anyway, it's mostly negligence on the part of the residents. I mean, I know people that you pointed out and they kept voting them in. Mark Bondero he lived down in Harris County somewhere, and he was a resident up here, and people kept voting him in. And what can you say if you want a director that doesn't live in your mud or even in the county? But that's what brought it up, is we had that come up again, and apparently you can go down to Howard Hughes and still get a director's lot in any one of the 10 muds. And I was trying to figure out whether is there some way for a mud to be able to authorize people, but from the attorney that we had the other night says it's a statute, and if somebody comes in and owns a piece of property, how they got it.
Yes,
is
there's 2
immaterial.
ways to get on board. I mean, one is you're appointed or 2, you're elected. So a board could have a informal policy of just, you're not going to consider someone for appointment if the way they're qualified is by having a director. Yeah, you can do that because you've got full discretion on how you appoint someone. But if they run for election, then it's a legal, how, if you're qualified, and then you're subject to the same election as everybody else. All the potential directors are subject to the same election, and the voters decide who win that election. You can't trump the will of the voters, like to your example of a non-resident director being elected by the voters. A board can't override the election.
Because of minimum qualification.
Correct. Correct, but you do have discretion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That was a great argument that you made
I agree.
on, at the trustees meeting. I watched it twice. It was so good.
well, there's some financial consequences that have been undertaken by other buds. Anyway.
Thankfully, it's not in ours, thankfully.
Anything else, Brian? See the general manager's report, item 12.
Just a couple of things to cover. Obviously, last month we were under construction. As you can see, we're continuing to move forward with some improvements, lighting and paint so far. We still got some things to do in the lobby and in the public areas, but progress continues on that. I want to let you know that I did speak to the Village Association Presidents meeting last week to introduce the woodlands, the water renewal woodlands, and more importantly, to request their involvement in identifying a member to be placed on the community work group for the campaign. We have the MUD. Obviously, last month we identified our MUD representation. We need a member from each VA and then a couple other community members. Once we have everybody put together for the community work group, we'll have our first meeting, most likely probably in early November. Yeah, as soon as we can get, we've almost got all of the VAs identified.
I noticed that. I thought that we had agreed that I would be appointed last month, but I didn't see that recorded.
Yeah, nothing's happened yet as far as the meetings. Let's see. In your packet in the back, we have a couple customer thank yous that we included, as well as identifying Jeannie's 26 years of service to WWA. So wanted to point that out as well.
Carlos is great, by the way.
Yes,
That's absolutely fantastic.
thank you. Did want to report that we have identified and have an acceptance of an offer for the deputy GM. She will start on November 4th. Her name is Kim Wright. She's currently the general manager of Southern Montgomery County MUD. She's been in that role the last 3 or 4 years or so. And then before that, she was the Highlands Division manager for about 4 or 5 years with SJA. So she'll be starting on November 4th. So has good experience in MUDs, dealing with TCEQ regulations, compliance, et cetera. So looking forward to that. And then we did have, I wanted to point out a couple weeks ago, we had great attendance. We had 17 directors across the MUDs to join us in attending the AWBD New Directors 101 event. So that went really well. 17 directors, 20 of us went. And what I wanted to do is start giving y'all kind of the schedule of some of the other AWBD events in case you're interested in attending or in getting involved. So going forward, I'm going to start giving y'all some of the schedules. The next one is October 25th. It's a noon AWBD industry seminar webinar, and that's on the 25th at noon. On October 30th, there's the AWBD fall seminar. That's on the west side of town. And that'll be from 6 to 8:30. That's generally a one topic, about an hour and a half seminar. That's usually pretty beneficial. There's a dinner involved as well. And then the next event after that is the 2025 AWBD Midwinter Conference. That's January 24th and 5th, and that'll be in Austin. So if y'all have any interest in getting involved in any of those things, we can help you sign up, or you can sign up, or Shelley will help you get registered for things like that. So just let us know. And with that, I'll kick it over to John for communications.
I got a quick, last time I asked, you said you may not be able to get it organized, but a presentation of this $250,000 expenditure before we do spend anything, if we can get a presentation and see what we're spending it on.
They'll be here in November. They couldn't put it, the engineering firm couldn't get it all put together for this meeting, but we will have them here for a presentation in November.
Okay, good.
Thank you for reminding me.
Ian, you have a communications report on page 49. So on September 19, we launched the infrastructure renewal communications campaign. A key component of that was a community survey. We got those results back that closed on the 6th. I just want to go through some highlights from that with you. We had 366 responses. We had an excellent satisfaction rating when it comes to our water and wastewater services. A really good rating as far as satisfaction with overall maintenance of our infrastructure. And then a tick down there on satisfaction with the value received for money paid for water and wastewater. At 63%, we're satisfied or very satisfied. And that one kind of sticks out to me because our customers receive excellent value. I think that's fair to say. When you compare our water rates to providers throughout the region, when you look at our mud tax rates compared to other muds in the county, I mean, they're the lowest. So, and we have a highly reliable system. So, I think there's some opportunity there to continue to put out messaging on value. And that is actually the focus of our fourth quarter strategic plan. So we'll continue to message on that front. And I think we can make some improvement on that. Top priorities for customers: safe drinking water, reliable and long-term water supply, and sustainability. 1, 2, and 3 there on priorities. And then as of middle of last week, we had around 2,000 unique visitors to that water renewal website. We're seeing really good traffic there.
First month?
Yeah.
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 Not even a month yet.
Yeah. Continue to keep that website updated. So we've added a couple of FAQs in response to some of the questions and comments we've gotten through the customer portal. Next stage of evolution there is we're going to be implementing project sheets. So one pagers on individual projects. So each project you can drill into it if you want to, as far as the project, the description of the project, the timeline, funding, and so forth. And that'll be connected to an interactive map so you can see where
And that's where we're going to put whether their traffic is going to be impeded or construction and backups or anything like that. Is that correct?
that would be, appropriate information for that. And we can message that in other ways as well. Got some current market materials here in the next few pages. October's bill ad is going to be on water renewal. And bottom page 50, we did add Instagram back into our social media suite. So we're now on X, Twitter, Nextdoor, Facebook, Instagram. So follow us if you are on any of those. And then we're also paying for advertising on social media through Houston Chronicle, Woodlands Online, and seeing some really good returns on that as far as folks engaging with our ads and then moving to our website from those ads. So that's what we want to do. We want to push people to the website where they can get more information on whatever they're interested in. And then lastly, on page 52, we have an outreach calendar. We got a big weekend coming up. We're going to be out and about in the community. On Saturday, we'll be at North Shore for the Wildflower Festival. That is from noon to 4. And then we're going to stay at North Shore as that park transitions into the 50th anniversary celebration. So we'll be there till dark. That culminates in what's supposed to be a pretty fantastic drone show.
What's it say? What kind of?
Drone show.
It's just fireworks, but we have drones also.
Drones now. Drones and fireworks. If you haven't seen one, they're pretty impressive.
They do video overcasting on the screen.
No, you watch them, they're all lit, they light up and they do.
Choreography. and-
Oh, choreography.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen that before. That's
Come on out.
impressive.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Stop by the Woodlands Water booth.
You have a booth there?
We will. We will have our outreach booth there.
All day long.
Yep. And then we'll be at Cochran's Crossing Village Association Festival on Sunday from 1 to 4 at Shadow Bend. With that, any questions?
No, comment. I was sitting there, I went to a political function last night. I was sitting at the table talking to the CEO of Entergy. He had no idea where his water came from, and I was just totally shocked. He knew where the electricity came from, but he didn't know where his water came from. That's my point.
Does he know where he lives?
He lives in Sterling Ridge. He knew where he lived. He lives in Sterling Ridge. But so I had a little schooling with him, and so I'm going to start sending these people to the website.
Yeah, sign them up for Woodlands Water Weekly.
Will do.
Thank you.
Something I failed to also mention, Kent had asked me to look into replacing some inlet grates, and that's been done.
Mhm.
So I was on South Moss Rock.
Sharon would be familiar with that. You know, the people on South Moss Rock have always had a problem with,
Oh, yeah, you can do rafts in the street, after a big rain.
more than, yeah, to the point where you couldn't get a passenger car in and out,
Yeah.
maybe a truck, but
Oh, yeah, I heard a lot about that.
so anyway, as a trustee or as a director, that was one of my campaign promises.
And this may not solve,
Right.
it depends on a lot of things, you know, the type of rainfall band, how much, how
How
fast.
fast?
But this helps. Helps them.
Hopefully it will move it faster and not let it build up. And then when it builds up, it'll hopefully drain out faster.
Well, one of the things that complicated the situation is that we have a new development there, where they built 17 new houses. And many of the residents were complaining that they were getting the backflow from the raised property lots on that whole street. And so I really am hoping this is going to facilitate a better drainage for them. Mr. Mooney worked with me on that very carefully. I was very pleased with his involvement. So were the people.
But for an engineering design, it's a terrible design. They got about 20 or 30 houses on the street and they drain to the middle of the street and they don't have any secondary outlet.
Right.
There's no, so anyway, it drains to the middle of the street and.
What's interesting is it doesn't go into the ditches that they have. It goes into the middle of the
Well,
street.
eventually it does, but anyway, there's a couple other designs, neighborhoods.
Thank you for doing that.
But anyway, it's
I-
it's just poor engineering in the first place. They should have had a secondary outlet over there, put a drainage easement between those houses. Anyway,
Thank you.
okay, receive the Woodlands Water Trustees Report. I was going to mention the director's lots and the award, which we've already talked about. So the rest of the trustees report, if you watched the meeting, you know what's going on. I don't have anything to add other than what's in the report. Okay. Recess to closed session. Do we have anything during the results? We'll unrecess to closed section, back to reconvene open session. And nothing to reauthorize. From the closed session, do we have any items for placement on future agenda? Item 16.
Yes.
Oh,
Our presentation.
but Shelley, you got that? She's good. Okay, she's got it. Perfect. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Got it.
Always. Second. Yep.